minister to us, your people, we pray. The only spoken, the only truth be spoken, the only truth be heard. Amen. That's such a beautiful passage, that vision of instruments of war being turned into instruments of agriculture. And of course, it's always required divine imagination to imagine this world better than it is now. And that's one of the places that fiction writing has. It helps our imaginations and stimulates them. One of my favorite children's stories is C.S. Lewis and the Narnia seasons. And they were made into movies a while ago. And the first one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, as the study suggests, it's in a big old English house. And Lucy, the little girl in the story, she sees this big wardrobe where people hang their dresses and clothes when they don't have a closet. And she's playing back there because there's fur coats and it feels so nice on her skin. And as she keeps going back, she finds she's going back and back further until finally the moment comes where she's standing in snow. And of course, the back of the wardrobe leads her into a whole new world called Narnia. And one might think that Lucy's life in the land of Narnia is just make-believe, that her life in the manor, the big house, is the real world. But here's the thing, visiting Narnia changes Lucy. Slipping over the other side of the wardrobe into a land of creativity and imagination changes how she feels about what we often call the real world. Going behind the curtain to Narnia moves her from fear to confidence, from depression to gratitude, and from loneliness and conflict with her brothers to peace and a deepened sense of relationship with them. And with all that make-believe, we're left wondering, what is the real world after all? Maybe what we make believe, what we choose to believe in, is the real world. In which case, the spiritual life, the life of choosing Christ, Narnia, love, fairness, is the only way to really live in the real world, what Jesus called the reign of God, which is coming and yet exists now. We see it here and there, we experience together in worship the real world of peace. Making believe that we are made to live in peace, making believe that we are designed to live ways of cooperation. That is the real world. And it's the real world that Micah talked about in his vision today. The day is coming when humankind will learn God's ways and walk the paths of respect. The Creator will settle disputes for nations far and wide. They'll beat their swords into plows and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. Everyone will sit under their own fruit trees, and no one will make them afraid. We're so blessed in Canada to experience so much of that vision already having come true to us. We're so blessed. It's not so for other people in other parts of the world. We're thankful that our military is able to go to other places in the world and to help bring peace and to help bring some harmony from chaos. We're so thankful of the development that's been made over the years. 200 or 300 years ago, the militaries of England, most of the time, were involved in unjust wars, plundering and keeping other countries from plundering them, going into new places and taking what they want. But we've evolved since then. And now within the democracies of the world, we have a sense of what's right and what's fair. We know there's better ways. And that's why Canada now has soldiers fighting and doing development work and training other armies, not to protect Canada, not to protect our families, and not to take stuff from other people. We've evolved to the point where we sacrifice our blood and treasure to protect an ideal, to protect values and rights given to us by our ancestors, and offer help to others who secretly, who so desperately want what we enjoy. I've had the opportunity to talk to some of the servicemen who've come back from Afghanistan. And one of the things I've observed, and every one of them I've talked to, is they come back with a profound sense of pride in what they were doing there and gratitude for what is here in Canada. Being in dangerous parts of the world, making peace, keeping the peace, training other soldiers to protect their people, wakes them up. It takes them through that curtain and allows them to see that we are blessed with an area called Canada, in which we live and move and have our being. Canada places our military in difficult parts throughout the world, protecting the legacy of the ancestors, giving the world an opportunity to continue evolving to that world that Micah sees, where we can live in peace together. I'm moved by the stories of Indigenous Canadians who signed up and fought for Canada in its wars, many of them giving their lives at a time when their own country was forcing their children into residential centers of abuse. Why did they do that? Because they had the imagination to imagine that someday their kids wouldn't be put in residential schools. And that by supporting Canada, they could help speed that forward. That divine imagination gave them the hope and the courage to fight and die because they believed in a better Canada than they could see at that time. Our ancestors always imagined a better world. Our vets imagined a better world. And we need to. Because evil and its powers are always at work. The powers of greed. The powers that make me want to feel better about my insecurity by tearing you down. All the labels are different. We wonder why Hitler became Hitler, but he learned everything he needed from the United States and South Africa. He sent delegates to the United States to see the Jim Crow laws and how they managed after the freedom of the slaves. You know, there was a period after the freedom of the slaves where the slaves began to vote, and there were black governors throughout the southern United States, and black small business flourished, but the whites didn't like that much. So they put in laws that meant that 95% of the blacks, although they had freedom in the Constitution, didn't actually vote. Hitler thought that was ingenious. It helped him begin his first part of marginalizing the Jews and taking them from power. Then he went to South Africa to see how apartheid was run. And that's what gave birth to Nazism. He actually, in his writings, gives credit to the United States and South Africa for helping with the development of the Nazi policy. And so our job is to always be aware by whatever name fascism may arise or communism may arise that just harms people for the sake of the few. Our job is to stand up for what is right, to continue working for what our veterans gave their lives for, to be intentional about our thinking, always prepared to support anyone who's been wrongly treated. We, too, are builders of peace. I think the worst thing that anyone can do around Remembrance Day, even worse than forgetting about it, is to shed tears of sadness all the while thinking that we're off the hook because the real world's just too bad and we're too small to make a difference. There's nobody small when we live in love and kindness and respect and fairness. Remembrance and worship is a sacred time to make beliefs about what is right and true, and to value what others have fought to give us. We've come such a long way, and we need to be encouraged. Years ago, before the empires existed, 120 people out of 100,000 died every year by means of armed conflict. When the empires came in, as cruel as they were, they brought peace and order. And so that rate went down to 50 people a year dying from armed conflict out of 100,000. That rate in the world today has dropped to 2 people out of 100,000 dying from armed conflict. Say, that's amazing progress. That would say that the vision of Micah is clearer today than ever before. We have today, after the Second World War, a new concept called international law. Before the Second World War, it was just assumed by every country they could do whatever they want. No other country would say boo. But just this last week, Bosco, who was a warlord in the Congo, was brought to justice. This man who was untouchable for years, and he's been sentenced to 30 years. Countries are becoming more accountable to one another. And this weekend marks the 30th anniversary of the Wall of Berlin coming down without violence, something no one even imagined or thought possible. Isn't it great that we don't have to know exactly how things will become better for them to become better? But like the men and women we honor today who did what they could, not counting the cost, not knowing what world would come their way, we're here to be makers of peace, each in our own way. That's the real world our faith offers us to lean into. That's the real world our ancestors spoke about and worked for and sacrificed for. That's the real world our veterans fought for and often gave their lives and were harmed by fighting. The highway of heroes continues. They didn't know how things would turn out, but they gave what they could, everything, their lives. And their sacrifices don't end at the time they die. The sacrifices we make are ripples throughout eternity. They continue to help move this world in the right direction, even though evil tries to push it back. That's the good news. We don't need to know how peace will come. We just need to make sure we live it in the real world as best we can, lest we forget. Let us pray. Great Creator, named by many names by those we honor today, we gather to remember the memories and give thanks for the lives of our sisters and brothers who have died in the wars of our nations and who have been injured in body and in mind. We give thanks for the courage and belief in the ideals of freedom demonstrated by the women and men who have served and who are serving in the military services of our country. We think of teenagers who lied about their young age so that they could volunteer to take on the adult task of going into harm's way in the front lines of battle. We think of marginalized peoples whose hope in the promise of a better Canada was so strong that they willingly gave their lives for a country that had not yet embraced their civil rights. People like First Nations, African Canadians, homosexuals, and Jews. We think of medics and nurses and humanitarian groups like the Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders who continue to pay the ultimate sacrifice to bring healing and comfort to the worst hellholes of human existence. Oh God, as we acknowledge all that has been given to us at so great a cost, remove from every one of us here today any and every excuse, every cynical attitude, every insecurity and distraction that might keep us from joining these pace-making heroes and doing our best as citizens and brothers and sisters to make this city, this country, and our global home the best it can be. Give us strength and conviction to take up the torch handed to us by these whom we honor today. All these prayers we offer to you, whose greatest name is love.